Hello and welcome, Exiles. Today I want to talk about the broken potential of Trickster that most people were sleeping on, which is one step ahead. This enables self-curse temporal chains. Temporal chains is a very negative curse which makes your character move very slow. The second you equip one step ahead, the downside of temporal chains is like 1000% negated, and you only have the upside, which is buffs and debuffs and basically duration skills and things on you. They now expire slower. Specifically for temporal chains, it's 20% slower. This isn't a huge deal, but if you scale this, it becomes a really big deal. The difference in 20% slower and the difference in 75% slower expiration of buffs, which is the cap for the curse, is the difference in your buffs lasting 4 times as long. So if I go in here with the Shackles of the Wretched, I go ahead and I equip temporal chains, and I curse these enemies, you'll see it has a 10-second duration, and it is making everything else with this blue text to it expire slower. Currently on this character, I'm sitting around 150-ish increased curse effect from temporal chains, both via temporal chains curse effect and curse effect on me, the player. This is the one thing I think people were kind of missing, is that you could benchcraft curse effect on you, or you could benchcraft reduce curse effect on your rings, and then if you put it into the ethereal reflecting mists, the new mechanic, you could reflect that mod to make it increase curse effect applied to you. Normally it's very difficult to get enough curse effect on yourself to make the curses and the durations and those things last a significant amount of time, but this specifically, the Penumbra ring, enables it. Thanks to this ring, we get about 93% on one gear slot alone. Then you can get 30% from your helmet. You can get another 36% with eldritch implicits. That gets you all the way up to about 150. You can get another 10% from temporal chains. You can get another like 16% from enhance if you get a corrupted +1 socketed gem on Shackles of the Wretched. You can start to enable a lot more curse effect. You can get another ring with curse effect. Point is, the magic number you need to hit with temporal chains to get the 75% slower expiration of buffs is 275% increased curse effect. Right now at 150%, we're at 50% slower expiration of buffs. That means buffs last twice as long. If I just get another ring and a helmet enchant, all of a sudden I've passed the threshold from 50% slower to 75% slower when we consider the doom effect of temporal chains, which means buffs will take 4 times as long to expire. This means while mapping, I can permanently have Valrighteous Fire up. I can proc Valrighteous Fire, I can kill a bunch of monsters, my soul gain prevention will end, and my Valrighteous Fire will still keep going for another, I don't know, 10-15 seconds depending on the duration, yada yada yada. Point is, I'll kill more monsters with that Valrighteous Fire and be able to proc it again before the Valrighteous Fire even ends. So permanent Val skills is a doable thing if they're duration Val skills. You have skills like Blade Vortex, Winter Orb, which become extremely feels good if they last 4 times as long. So if you build around that specifically, you have an even stronger use case. Not only that, you have things like Molten Shell, which that's a duration buff. For me, it would be 7 seconds. You know, if I start including armor and stuff, I get more of a 6k Molten Shell instead of just a 3k Molten Shell, and that will end up lasting close to 30 seconds. In that scenario, I think it gets a little bit broken when you start including things like Veteran's Awareness. If I have a 6k Molten Shell, and I have 10 max res and 20% fizz reduction on that, the enemy has to do a hell of a lot of damage to get through that Molten Shell, which more than negates the downside of taking a little bit more damage after the Molten Shell ends. It's pretty much like, while Molten Shell is up, we are effectively very immortal. We can take so much damage, it is crazy. Then it gets a little bit more nutty the second we get a bit more armor in our gear. Our gear is so bad, it's really abysmal. If we get a little bit better armor, like something like 2k armor on a chest, all like, I don't know, 500-600 armor on a helmet, a couple under 100 armor on our boots, all of a sudden we're getting closer to that 50k armor mark, and the Molten Shell has a 10k EHP threshold, which when you're trying to hit through 10k EHP and you have a unit that has 85 max all res, and it gets worse for the enemy because we also have permanent uptime on elemental flasks, which is another 20% less damage taken. And we also have another 20% damage reduction from Unshattered Will. You start timing all these long duration buffs, and you get some insane results. There's a nice thing about abusing flasks for duration for permanent uptime, but there's also the nice thing about abusing some of the best temporary buffs in the game. The one I'm specifically using right now is called the Unshattered Will. This buff gives me stun immunity. It means I can't have ailments applied to me, poison, bleed, Scourge, Ignite, Brittle, all those elements it makes us immune to, and it also comes with 20% damage reduction. So we have these nice layers of defense because we get permanent uptime on Unshattered Wheel, we have permanent uptime on our Flask, we have close to permanent uptime on our Molten Shell. It lasts something like 25-30 seconds, but it has a downtime of only 4 seconds. So 90%. What's wrong, little guy? I'm not sure if I'm making this very clearly, but my point is you get temp chains, you don't have to put much investment into it because you're pretty much making rings that are going to have double positive mods, and the mod you want to go negative makes it so you take advantage of the mechanic where normally there should be a couple downsides. One of those downsides is going to be nothing but a positive, and you can bench craft it on. So you have to craft basically a 3-stat ring with maybe 1 extra dead stat, and then you get to go for something like Curse Effect on it. Now, me specifically, I wanted a guarantee outcome because these things are kind of rare, and I wanted to start switching over to Self-Curse. So all you really have to do is alt spam for T1 life, Regal, annul the extra mod, and benchcraft on Curse Effect with some caster catalyst applied to the ring. And then you want to go for something like a difficulty 10 Kalandra reflection or higher to try to get like double the mod effect. This will always give you positive life and increase Curse Effect because one mod has to go negative and one mod has to go positive, and it has the reflection. So you have both choices available. So this is kind of a guaranteed safe outcome type of thing. Now, right now my character, I only have about 150% Curse Effect, as I was saying. I'm going to work towards getting a new ring and actually getting a Curse Effect implicit on my helmet, and all of a sudden we can really start to pop off with this. The reason I think this is so broken compared to what it was in the past is in the past when you wanted to enable self-curse, you had to use something like 5, 6, 7 small passive jewel clusters. That's something like a 20 to 30 passive skill point investment. It forces you into something like voices. It forces you into all this opportunity cost. And by the time you've got those curse effect clusters in your build on the tree, you don't have a tree left. This enables you to have the permanent or the good uptime on temporal chains while not spending anything on your passive tree to do it. Only spending an implicit on your helmet. What's wrong, little guy? Need help with something? The build potential for this sort of mechanic really just gets a little bit crazy. I'm probably going to make multiple builds around specifically temp chains and the interesting things you can do with it, the interesting buffs you can abuse, because it excites me a lot. It is something that is very close, near and dear to my heart, and I have a lot of fun building around. So this is the update to the Trickster character. I'll maybe go ahead and give you guys a showcase of what it looks like now that we have. Basically, we've gotten all the way up to level 92. We've made some progress. It's now day 2.5, day 3 that I made these changes to the character, and I'm pretty happy with the changes. This is a temporary stepping stone to then gear and start assembling the energy shield switch for the character. It should be good enough at this point to do invitations, I believe, and I'll start testing those out, and I'll probably be streaming those on Twitch. But for right now, I will do... I guess I don't have a T16 Guardian to do. I'll just do, I guess, a T16 Mesa, unidentified. We'll see if we hit no regen. You know, you gotta live and enjoy life, right? A little bit. Play a little Risk, play a little... What could possibly go wrong, right? What could possibly go wrong? I'm also remembering now that I messed up my skill keybinds to showcase this. I wanted to put Molten Shell over here. I want to put... So I'll put Blood Rage over there. What did I don't know. I messed up my keybinds. I'll fix them later. I'll fix them in post. So you go around, you curse. That gives you the duration on things. The one downside, the one bummer of this whole thing that didn't work according to my plan was I was fully expecting the temporal chains to be affected by itself. The temporal chains duration, which is like 10 seconds, I was fully expecting to be affected by the multiplier and end up being a buff that lasts the full 40 seconds or whatever it would be once you multiply that buff by 4 times. And it does not. I don't know why this is. I should probably go test to see if it affects the duration of other curses type of thing. It doesn't make sense to me conceptually at all that temp change wouldn't apply to itself. My guess is they specifically did this to nerf self-curse maybe a league or two ago, and not a league or two ago, a couple of leagues ago, back when self-curse temp chains Headhunter was a thing. I don't really know exactly, but that's my general, I guess, theory on that, because I don't know why else they would do this. Now, normally I would have, what's it called? I'm missing my flammability and my exposure because I have my keybind for Armageddon Brand, which gives me quite a bit of extra damage, just like another like minus 30 res on enemies. So I need to fix my keybinds for that specifically. I need to put my Blood Rage somewhere else, and I need to put my Arcanist Brand or my Armageddon Brand here. So I'll fix that in post, but just know this is kind of what it looks like on a T16 with who knows what the modifiers are. Could be tank mods, could be danger mods, I don't really know. And you can see during this map we had mostly pretty good uptime. I chose to go with a enkindling flask for our Quicksilver, so it feels kind of like a Mage Blood a little bit in terms of how fast you move. And this flask only has a little bit of downtime because it just has a really long duration, and then you kill a few monsters and you get the flask right back is how it works. So I think it feels pretty good. And then yeah, that's a mapping showcase of the day 2.5. And hopefully we will do, oh, here's, I just got a Guardian, so I'm going to work my way towards invitations and stuff like that. I think the life-based version with this setup can do it. Maybe we'll try some Ubers if I get my second ring, stuff like that we'll try to go for, see where we can push this build. We're still on regular gems, we just flipped our qualities in terms of like leveling them again. Eventually awakened Ellie Focus, awakened burn damage, stuff like that is huge damage boost. Eventually getting an amulet that's not just an amulet with life on it would be a great thing to do. But you know, we're just upgrading our character as we can, as we go, and hopefully we can start, you know, taking this build to the end game, which is Ubers. But we'll work there one step at a time. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Take care, Exiles.